It's your weekly video, and today I'm going to tell you about a legal loophole that lets prosecutors use different rules of evidence in court when they are prosecuting specific, usually Black or brown people. Here's what I mean. Most places around the country have some kind of gang law at this point. And a lot of these gang laws are really loosey-goosey. They basically define a gang as like any 2 or more or 3 or more people who have any kind of unifying symbol who commit a kind of crime together. Now, when you think of how teenagers are and how often kids have unified, how often did we all draw that weird S in our notebooks? And I don't know, like shoplift candy, whatever. The point is, these laws can be very broadly applied because they are very, very vague. Who are they applied to? When we look at databases, for example, New York's gang database, it becomes apparent that these laws are almost exclusively applied to people of color. So for example, in New York, 99% of people in the gang database are not white. This is really significant because what gang law is really intended to do is prosecute groups of people for doing crimes together, right? We actually already have laws for that. The law of conspiracy, for example, is intended to prosecute groups of people who do a crime together. But conspiracy actually requires prosecutors to do the work of proving that the people had a common scheme and that they actually took material steps towards completion of their scheme. Gang law? They can just claim that people are all in the same gang, and so whatever crime one of them does, the other ones must have wanted to do too, and therefore be culpable for. This opens the door to prosecutors using evidence in court that they would never be allowed to use in any other context. So for example, if I'm accused of a crime and I am saying, hey, I'm completely innocent of this crime, I did not do this. Most of the time, prosecutors are not allowed to introduce evidence that my friend committed a whole bunch of crimes and kind of imply to the jury that if my friend did a whole bunch of crimes, I must be a crappy person who does crimes too. But in gang cases, that's exactly what they're allowed to do, which is essentially a totally huge departure from the normal rules of evidence, being applied only to Black and brown people, which makes them more likely to be convicted because it's much easier to bias juries when you can say, hey, this person's friends are crappy. And then they are subjected to harsher penalties because gang crimes also confirm more time in prison.